Okay guys, welcome back. So today we're going to recreate one of our most popular tests that we done very early on in the channel, Matty.
Yeah, first half year of the channel for sure.
It was certainly, once we were kind of starting to get beyond just reviewing some of the kind of heads and this and that, and the channel had kind of found its feet a little bit more. Taking sort of a little bit of props from you guys with regards to what you wanted us to see, which was testing stiffer, low launch, designated low spin shafts.
And also the brands of shafts that you see when you go to the shop or you look online at what the standard offerings are.
Yeah,
you'll
absolutely.
see the KBS, you'll see the Dynamic Gold, and you'll see the Project X. And I think people go, okay, well, who are these for?
Yeah.
What are the actual differences between the three when I'm buying a set of irons?
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing with these shafts are, they're the ones that we basically watch in the PGA Tour every week.
Exactly, and that's when someone's in their follow through and you go, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And this is kind of what you're talking about.
Well, there's a reason, a company like True Temper that always had the little gold band went to the kind of the full tour issue band. It's much more visible to
Smart.
the TV, so
looks,
people can see,
exactly
yeah,
like that, doesn't
much
it?
more like that, and
Yeah.
so.
Smart.
People are able to identify the shafts a little more. Quite difficult with a steel shaft. Much easier when you're rocking a DI 6X and it's orange and white. Everyone knows what it is because you can see it from the other end of the course. But so we have in our lineup Project X 7.0.
Yes.
Okay, very stiff. One of the stiffest out there. So we, prior to filming this, we actually put every shaft on our sort of frequency machine. So we measured the cycles per minute, CPM, of every single shaft. So we looked at the X7 by True Temper, the X100 by True Temper, the C-Taper 130, and then the Project X 7.0, which is also 130 grams. So by far and away, the stiffest was X7, not even close.
It really isn't even close.
Not even close, in a league of its own when it comes to stiffness. We can make our assumptions from that. We can make our assumptions that X7 is going to be the one that kind of brings the flight down the most because it's stiffest. We'll see.
That's what on paper you look for.
That's what we're looking for, and that, I guess this probably we could actually say is following on from our last test of the S taper.
That's right.
Versus the C taper,
which was very interesting.
Which was a surprise for us.
It was.
So we're maybe heading that way again, or are we?
Or are we? Exactly.
Yeah.
All
right. Let's hit a few, Matty boy.
Let's do it. Project X first.
Yes. All right. Sounded like a crisp strike.
That was a better strike yet.
Yeah, a couple of lovely strikes to start us off. Dynamic lie angles looking really good. This will be interesting for us to see, Matty, if we're taking this golf club, which is 60 on the lie angle.
Okay.
Let's see how shaft deflection droop is playing per shaft, and let's see if there's a difference as we go along here with the different bend profiles and how they impact the flex dynamically.
See, that's an interesting point because that in and of itself could change your start line the same way a lie angle adjustment could change your start line.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah.
So that was fairly neutral so far.
Very neutral stuff. Very, very neutral.
It's a little bit on the heel.
It's okay though. I like the flight.
Yeah.
How are you feeling with the shaft? Are you pretty comfortable in terms of your timing and stuff with it?
It's definitely. I know we're talking 6-7 grams heavier. I do feel that it's heavier for sure.
But less.
Is it less?
Yeah, so probably closer to 3, 4.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, they're subtly different than what I'm used to. I think we've spent a ton of time doing iron testing, but it hasn't really been shaft testing, so I haven't really hit another iron shaft in quite a while.
Makes sense.
Best of the bunch, I think.
Yeah, really good strike.
feel like I'm making pretty good contact.
It looks like you've got it coupled nicely. I mean, you've heard my nonsense enough to kind of know what I like a shaft and what a shaft is doing when I start to see a collection of good strikes.
Yep.
That's really what I'm looking for the shaft to do, and I know the purpose of this test is not for that, but really that's what I'm looking for.
But we've seen how much that ends up changing your numbers, right?
Yeah.
Whether that strike is a little low, a little high, a little left, a little right.
Definitely. Okay, let's see one more. That gives us a good little summary.
Just a bit thin.
Bit thin, straight in the hole.
Yeah. Huh. Sold.
Yeah, you weren't wrong. Yeah,
just a bit thin in heel.
Okay. Okay, switching over to the X100s.
Okay.
Lovely start with the Project X70 there. That was really nice.
Yep, I like that a lot.
Really nice.
Kind of feel like I'm making good swings. It just sort of
wants. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it just kind of wants to go a little left. I'm looking at my path and stuff, and they seem like the strikes and stuff are good.
Strikes are good, yep.
Just hanging just a little bit left.
Nice adjustment.
Interesting.
It's got that in it, hasn't it? Definitely has that in the locker.
And that's me probably trying to.
Yeah, just trying to keep it online.
Yeah.
See, a couple more should be fine.
Okay. That's nice. Yeah, but I look up and it just kind of
has a different flight path to it, doesn't it?
A little on the left side.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, X100 is not the one for you.
Yeah.
Struggle with that. Big difference in terms of the strike pattern and the consistency, and just not really able to replicate, good shot after good shot the way we could with Project X.
Be curious when we're done to look at exactly dynamically what occurred, because it seemed like there was consistency in terms of direction, but it was left.
Which was very interesting, because I was actually watching, the dynamics of it, and it's one of the things I love about this new table on the side.
Yeah.
In between shots, you can be much more kind of conscious of what's going on, and in actual fact, there wasn't too much dynamically that was different. It comes back down to really, what we always talk about, that element of timing, where you sense the mass as you're trying to deliver that club face. So. Very interesting as we go into C-taper, which, if we remember, you hit really well last time, and X7. Let's see if it now comes back to you in terms of the timing.
Gotcha.
On the CPM, if we're going to reference that, we should say that X100 was by quite a distance the softest.
The softest of the four, for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounded quite nice.
Yeah, pretty good.
Maybe a groove then?
Yes. Definitely. So goodie?
Mm-hmm. Two more just like that. It acoustically appears like you have much better lateral control of the strike.
Definitely.
Not nearly as much toe to heel. Vertically we might be kind of, working through some things, and that's because you are a little bit shallower today than, you are sometimes with your 6 iron.
Good point.
That's all that is. But in terms of where that strike is, you've really got good control of this one. And look at those 4.
Yeah, that's starting to have the right kind of consistency.
To come together really nicely. Lovely.
Yeah, I'd be quite happy with that. Yes.
Last but not least, we have the little satin stepless beauty that is the C taper.
All right. I like.
I was going to say, it had a different noise to it, that one.
That one felt really good. Crisp. Yes.
Okay, pal, well done.
Thank you.
From a tester's perspective, how did you find going between those 4 shafts?
So I found that Project X, maybe because it was the first one we tested, or maybe because it's not quite the same as my shaft, I felt sort of a little bit of weight extra to begin the test. But as soon as I made a few swings, I found the ball flight seemed quite nice.
Yep.
Dropped into that one quite nicely. C taper, the same. I think I found I like the balance of it, the weight of it, and honestly, X7. I think X7 doesn't feel as stiff to me as C taper when I'm waggling it around.
So many people say that.
Yeah, I really think it feels stiffer.
A lot of people will say that just the sense they get from C taper is that, oh, I got to work hard for this.
Yep.
And then they actually get a little bit more feedback from the X7. It kind of gives you a bit more in the hands, and that makes you actually feel like the shaft's doing a little bit more for you.
Fair. I really feel like C taper just, I don't know, it just rebounds square. There's something about the feel of it where I just feel like I start the ball on line more often. And the only one that was a little bit out there was X100. I just felt like I lost it a little bit. I felt like I made good strikes with it. It wasn't like I was, hammering it all over the face, but it did feel like a good swing went left. That was my only kind of feedback for that one.
It was interesting to watch that one, and I would say of all the ones that you hit, that was the one that probably had a little bit the kind of widest dispersion pattern from a strike perspective. And
I agree.
Sometimes the kind of data doesn't show it because this is an average. It shows up an average of what the strike is. So that kind of green spot there, a little bit low in toe, maybe doesn't show all, but it was a bit more of a spread.
The mix of them was all over for sure.
What we tend to find with the ones that you were very good with today was there wasn't much lateral deviation.
Yep.
It was just vertical deviation, and if anything, we were just straying a little bit on the low side. That's a little bit on the shallow side from your angle of attack. So that combined with the amount of delivered loft we have, we would expect to hit that groove or so low.
Yep.
Which is just fine. I would say, well, tell me what one before I tell you what one I thought you hit best, you tell me what you liked the most and kind of what gave you the best encouragement.
It's tough. It really is tough. I felt, I would say between Project X and C taper.
Interesting.
But I also feel like X7 was quite good as well. It's just like the order in which we test them. I try not to let that affect it.
Yeah.
But once I got to C taper, there might have been a bit of like, oh, I remember hitting this last week. Like I remember being good with it. So maybe a bit of confidence difference.
Yeah.
But those 3 I thought were a pretty tight race.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what you think.
See, I thought it was X7.
You think X7 was the best one?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought X7 was the most sort of balanced flight. I kind of saw the spin came up a little bit. I just thought there was a lot of consistency to that flight. Now, if you really look at C-taper and X7 from a ball flight perspective, you know, the difference in sort of land angles is really just a difference in spin. A couple hundred RPMs is kind of shallowing out the angle of descent on the C-taper, whereas it's landing slightly steeper. Now, we're kind of picking hairs and splitting hairs, but
that's interesting.
You know, if I'm working with a player of your caliber, I'm doing that.
Yep.
I'm trying to kind of, you know, give you reasons to go one way or the other. Remarkably similar. You know,
in
numbers,
all respects, yeah.
Remarkably similar. So
yeah,
we were kind of shaking our heads when we looked at this, and we said about how consistent these numbers were, and how consistent and similar. That's what we were kind of shocked at when, you know, we hit a range of shots like that. I mean, we kind of spent there the best part of 25 minutes hitting shots, and you're coming out with decimal points apart.
Yeah,
a little bit of spin separation. You know, a yard or two here or there, nothing much on that, but there was nothing really.
I think we're talking about flights in person that are visually identical. I would imagine they would all look exactly the same in the air.
You know, there's subtle differences to the consistency and what we see, and I think that's how we're able to be sort of very, very particular and pick out the X7 as probably the best.
The one, yeah. And I think, depending on your swing and your tempo, you may see the strike move enough that your numbers would be more separated than that. You may see, rather than just one that kind of kicks itself out, maybe two of them kick themselves out. But again, we said at the beginning, it's either going to be one of those tests where we're kind of surprised that they all sort of differentiate, or they're going to kind of all be the same. And it was one of there again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. Surprised by how tight it was, though. I really thought we might have saw something a bit more shocking.
Cool.
Okay.
It's hard to wrap that up, but
it is hard to wrap that up and try to kind of go, you see, guys, this one's the best or this one's the worst, but it's just not like that. It's just, you know, here's 4 shafts. This is in testing with a club head with the same loft and lie and a ball that is exactly the same in the Strix XV. You know, we did wonder whether dynamically there might be some differences from a deflection standpoint. There wasn't.
That's the part that I can't believe.
Yeah, there just wasn't. I mean, from a droop standpoint, the dynamic lie angle was 0.6 up, 0.4 up, 0.6 up, 0.6 up. It's the same.
Yeah, literally exactly
all doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, so it's like we often like to sign off on a video. They're all options. Go get fit.
Go do it yourself.
See the one that you kind of are most comfortable with, the one that suits you the best, the one you hit the middle of the face with, and that's your decision.
100%. That's that. You know, if we can't hammer that message home with a test like this, I don't know when we can.
Very true.
Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you were able to take something from it. Interesting test. Very, very surprised with how tight those results came, but you know, the numbers will roll out as they do.
That's just what they were.
This is how it is. Okay, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.